Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, it is Friday the 13th. So I am doing a retro review for Friday the 13th, but not the one you think. I'm reviewing the movie from 2009. This movie is rated R with a runtime of an hour and 37 minutes. It has a Rotten Tomato score of 25% from the critics, 46% from the audience, and a 2.5 average on Letterboxd. Abysmal numbers, and we'll get into it. In this film, against the advice of locals and police, Clay scours the eerie woods surrounding Crystal Lake for his missing sister, but the rotting cabins and abandoned summer camp are not the only thing he finds. Hockey mask killer Jason Voorhees lies in wait for a chance to use his razor sharp machete on Clay and the group of college students who have come up to the forest to party. The premise is a little misleading there, so we'll get into that. This movie is directed by Marcus Nispel, based on characters by Victor Miller, written by Damian Shannon, Mark Swift, and Mark Wheaton, and it stars Jared Padelecki as Clay, Daniel Panabaker as Jenna, so we have two CW All-Stars right there, Travis Van Winkle as Trent, Aaron Yu as Chewie, Derek Mears as Jason Voorhees, Jonathan Sadowski as Wade, Juliana Will as Bree, Ben Feldman as Richie, Arlen Escarta as Lawrence, and Ryan Hansen as Nolan. Now, don't tell me to tell you who those people are in the film because these characters were so flat that I don't even remember. Other than, of course, Padalecki and Panabaker, who like I know them as actors. There was a few. I mean, Ryan Hansen I recognize as Nolan from the Showtime sitcom Party Down. And there's a few other actors that I recognize, but none of them made a lasting impression. So let's get into it. Now, if you haven't seen the film, I will be going into spoilers to talk all about this film. But I mean, it's a Friday the 13th movie, so you probably know what to expect. So the movie starts with a a very quick cold open that shows us Jason's mom killing like the last camper, I guess. Which maybe just trying to bring you into the world, trying to explain the story. It feels like they compacted all of the first film. I don't know if this is supposed to be a sequel to the original, kind of like the Halloween from 2018 was a sequel to the original, or or if it was like a whole reboot. So if you know more of that, let me know down in the comments. I haven't seen the first one in a long, long time, so but I know that it ends almost in a very similar way to what we were shown at the beginning. Then we have another, I would say, another not cold open, but just like a sequence that it does a lot. It goes on for like 15 minutes to kind of establish the world, establish Jason and the gore, and of course, just to get a few additional kills. Uh, I think this sequence to me felt like we don't have enough story to tell because we've changed so many things from the story from Halloween that I mean, some from Friday the 13th that we are just gonna have to kill a bunch of strangers. Now they do tie everything back up. So the first group of like maybe 5 or 6 teenagers, they go out camping near Crystal Lake. They start getting killed. Of course, we have all the cliches from these movies. You have the sex scene. You have the dude looking for like weed in the background. You have the people that go exploring. Like all those in one fell swoop. Now at this point, Jason doesn't have the iconic hockey mask. He's just kind of covered up his face, which they never really explain other than showing his face later, and you're like, oh, okay, I see why he chooses to wear a mask, I guess. Um, so one of these teenagers is Whitney, who is the sister of Jared Padalecki's Clay. Now that's kind of what really kicks off the film, right? We follow Padalecki, uh, or we follow Clay as he goes around the area asking if anybody has seen his sister. Um, and it just every character that he runs into is just a caricature, and they're not interesting at all, really. Um, Even when he meets with the group of college kids, I could already tell that they're probably all gonna die. Now, granted, this is a Friday the 13th movie, so it's a very high chance that they're gonna die regardless. But just the way they were written, they were all like a one sentence thing. Like, this is who this guy, this is the stoner, or like the weird kid, or like, the horny teenager or whatever. So yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to that. I knew I wanted to at least see some interesting kills, and I think the movie delivers on that front. There's definitely a lot of sexy time. There's definitely a lot of like gore and kills, and Jason very violently takes care of, like, he takes out a lot of these kids from the first trip, from the second trip, even some locals to the area. Which, how had they not run into Jason before? That seems interesting. Um, there's also a lot of I guess by the campgrounds, there's a patch of somebody may have been growing weed, and one of the locals steals some of it, and that's kind of. I don't think that's why Jason goes after him, but I think it'd be funny if, like, in this version, the reason that Jason's killing all these people is because they stole his weed. I think that'd be funny. But yeah, no, they. It turns out that Jason had kept Whitney, who is Padelecki's sister, in the film. Uh, he's kept her around because she looks like his mom, I guess. Um, and that's it. Like, that was the connection. They don't really explain how he's been keeping her alive or anything. She just kind of chained up. So in the end, after Jason gets through all the kills, which, like I said, some really impressive ones. There's I he shoots someone with a bow and arrow, like, from a pretty far distance, which, to me, I've known Jason to be like, he has endurance and he has brute strength. I never knew him to be a marksman, so that was kind of wild. But yeah, usually very quick. Um, Unlike a lot of movies like this, where some of these people can kind of defend themselves, they can't really in this case. Like, Jason's kind of always ahead of them, with his big knife or the machete or whatever weapon he chooses. And yeah, he starts taking them out. There's a character called Trent who he's like the leader of the college group. He's Panna Baker's boyfriend in this, and he just takes everyone to his like super cool rich house that his parents have, in the forest, and he's so much less worried about what's happening to his friends and more worried about like the status of the house and make sure that he's not going to get in trouble. It's a pretty odd choice. Um, but yeah, this movie, I think, the only other note I really had was that, uh, at the end, it's a weird choice that you think you know who's gonna live, and they made a conscious effort to show you that even though these teenagers, like, they had supposedly killed Jason, they made a very conscious choice to tell you the story's not over. They were very confident that they were gonna keep going with this franchise, kind of like, thinking that they would get as many sequels as probably the original series of films. But I don't think so. This movie, uh, it's not entertaining, really. I think it's fun to watch, as like, how can this be so bad? And then, like I said, I've really had a good time following. I'm glad that Panna Baker and Padelecki were the main characters for most of the movie, because at least that was engaging for me as a fan of them. I met Daniel Panabaker over the summer at the Dallas convention, so that was cool. I didn't even know she was in this film. We did talk about the crazies though, but yeah, I don't know that I recommend this film, but I think it was fun to watch, at least because of the date. So if you're doing that on a Friday the 13th, and you've seen some of the other ones, I think there's better, stronger stuff out there in the franchise. There's probably also worse stuff. I haven't seen them all. I'm not a big Friday the 13th person, but definitely wanted to put something out on the channel for the date. So if you've seen this film, I know a few people that I follow on Letterboxd. They gave these actually like pretty high scores, like 3.5s and 4s. So I'd be interested to hear why they rated it so highly. So if you've seen this film, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.